I didn't know his name when I first saw him. I only knew that he looked at paintings the way other men looked at weapons, cataloging weaknesses, searching for the kill point. The gallery was nearly empty. Thursday evenings in November always were. Rain hammered against the skylights above, turning the white walls gray with shadow. I was supposed to be closing in 20 minutes, but he'd walked in at 8:43 p.m., water darkening the shoulders of his black coat, and I'd forgotten how to tell him we were about to lock up. He stopped in front of a Caravaggio reproduction. Judith beheading Holofernes, the violent one, the beautiful one. You're staring, he said without turning. My throat went dry. I'm the only staff on duty. I'm supposed to watch the floor. Is that what you're doing? Now he turned, dark eyes darker than the coat than the rain. Sharp jaw. A mouth that looked like it had forgotten how to smile years ago. Watching the floor. I'm watching you. The corner of his mouth twitched. Not quite a smile. Something more dangerous. He moved to the next painting. I should have returned to the desk, pretended to shuffle papers, anything. Instead, I followed at a distance, my heels clicking softly on marble. Do you like this one? He asked, stopping before a modern piece, a woman's silhouette dissolving into red brushstrokes. I think it's angry, I said. Good. He tilted his head. Art should make you feel something violent. The lights flickered. Thunder rolled somewhere distant. I pulled my cardigan tighter. We're closing soon. I know, but he didn't move. His hand lifted, almost touched the frame, then dropped. Long fingers, no wedding ring, a thin scar across his knuckles that looked deliberate, surgical. Are you looking for something specific? I asked. His eyes met mine, held. I already found it. My pulse stumbled. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and something in his expression went cold, colder, like a door slamming shut. Thank you for your time, Miss Rivera. Elena Rivera. He repeated it silently as if memorizing it. Then he walked toward the exit, footsteps echoing. Wait. I called. I didn't get your name. He paused at the door, rain visible beyond the glass. The city lights bleeding through water. Dante, he said. Just Dante. And then he was gone. I locked up at 9:15, hands shaking as I set the alarm. The gallery owner, Mrs. Chen, had been in Shanghai for 2 weeks, leaving me alone with temperature controls and insurance paperwork, and the persistent feeling that the paintings watched me when I wasn't looking. Outside, the rain had softened to mist. I pulled my hood up and started walking toward the subway, my breath visible in the November cold. I'd made it half a block when I felt it. Ice. Not the paranoid feeling you get walking alone at night. Something specific. Trained, I turned. The street was empty except for a black car idling near the corner, headlights off. My stomach tightened. I walked faster. The car followed. My apartment was 6 blocks away. The subway was too. I chose the subway, nearly running now, my bag bouncing against my hip. Behind me, a car door opened. I didn't look back. I plunged down the subway stairs, swiped my card with trembling hands, pushed through the turnstile. The platform was crowded, thank God, and I buried myself in the center of the waiting crowd, heart hammering. The train arrived. I got on, found a seat, pressed my forehead against the cold window. As the doors closed, I saw him, standing on the platform, watching, not trying to board, just watching, not Dante, someone else. Stocky, scar down his cheek, wearing a gray suit that fit too well to be anything but expensive. Our eyes met through the scratched subway glass. He smiled, and mouthed something I couldn't hear but understood perfectly. We know where you live. I didn't sleep. I sat on my couch with every light on, my phone in one hand and a kitchen knife in the other, feeling ridiculous and terrified in equal measure. At 3 a.m., I googled Dante and Ort collector and got 17 million results, none helpful. At 4 a.m., I stood at my window looking down at the street. The black car was gone. Or maybe it had never been there. Maybe I was losing my mind. At 6 a.m., I gave up and showered. By 8:30, I was back at the gallery trying to pretend everything was normal. Mrs. Chen had emailed overnight she'd be back Monday. 3 more days of managing alone. I made coffee, checked the security footage from last night on the small monitor in the back office. The timestamp showed Dante entering at 8:43, leaving at 9:02, and then at 9:47 after I'd left, 2 men entering through the service entrance. My coffee went cold in my hand. They wore gloves, moved efficiently. One checked the paintings. The other went directly to Mrs. Chen's office. They were inside for 11 minutes. When they left, they took nothing. I watched the footage 3 times, memorizing faces, the stocky one from the subway. Another, taller, with silver at his temples. My phone rang, unknown number. I stared at it for 4 rings before answering. Elena Rivera. A woman's voice. Professional. Cold. Yes. This is Detective Sarah Lim, NYPD. I need you to come to the precinct. We have some questions about the Chen Gallery. My mouth went dry. What kind of questions? The kind best discussed in person. Can you come today? Yes. When? Now would be ideal. She gave me an address. I wrote it down with shaking hands. Detective, what is this about? We'll discuss everything when you arrive, Miss Rivera. A pause. And Miss Rivera, don't mention this call to anyone. For your safety. She hung up. The precinct was in Midtown, gray and institutional, smelling like burnt coffee and recycled air. Detective Lim met me in the lobby, mid-40s, sharp-eyed, wearing a blazer that had seen better days. She led me to a small interview room. No windows, a table, 2 chairs. Can I get you anything? Water, coffee. I'm fine. I wasn't. What's this about? She sat across from me, folded her hands. How long have you worked at the Chen Gallery? 14 months. And how well do you know Mrs. Chen? Well enough. She hired me. We're professional. Have you noticed anything unusual lately? Strange visitors. Unusual transactions. My mind went immediately to Dante, to the men on the security footage. There was someone last night, I said slowly. Man. He came in right before closing. Name, Dante. Just Dante. Something flickered in her expression. She wrote it down. Describe him. I did every detail I could remember. The coat. The way he looked at paintings. When I finished, she was very still. Miss Rivera, I need you to listen carefully. The Chen Gallery is under investigation for money laundering. We have evidence that certain pieces were purchased with illegal funds, then resold at inflated prices to clean the money. The room tilted. Mrs. Chen. Mrs. Chen. Chen is currently under surveillance in Shanghai. We believe she's part of a larger operation. Detective Lim leaned forward. The man you described, Dante, we've been trying to identify him for 6 months. He's connected to the Vittori family. I don't know what that means. It means, she said quietly, that you've attracted the attention of one of the most dangerous men in New York. I walked out of the precinct 2 hours later with a business card, a warning to be careful, and the detective's assurance that they'd increased patrols near my apartment. None of it made me feel safer. The subway ride home was a blur. I kept seeing Dante's face, the way he'd looked at me. I already found it. What had he been looking for? My apartment building came into view. I climbed the stairs slowly, exhaustion settling into my bones. I unlocked my door and stopped. Someone had been inside. Nothing was broken, nothing stolen, but I knew, the way you know when someone's invaded your space. A chair moved slightly, the scent of expensive cologne lingering in the air. On my kitchen table sat a single white envelope. No name, no address. Inside, a note in black ink, handwriting precise and elegant. You're asking the wrong questions, Elena. And you're talking to the wrong people. D, beneath it, a phone number. I stood there holding the note, my apartment suddenly feeling too small, too exposed. While somewhere in the city, a man I didn't know had just proven he could reach me anywhere. My hands were still shaking when my phone buzzed. The same unknown number from this morning. I answered. Not Detective Lim's voice. Dantis. Low. Controlled. Dangerous. You have 30 seconds to leave your apartment. Use the fire escape. There's a car waiting on the next street. Black Mercedes. Get in. How did you? 20 seconds. They're coming for you, Elena. And I'm the only reason you're still alive. Through my window, I heard it. Footsteps in the hallway. Too many, too heavy. Dante's voice quieter now. Trust me or die. Choose. I ran. The fire escape was slick with rain. I didn't think. I just moved, climbing through my bedroom window, metal groaning under my weight, my bag slamming against my ribs. Behind me, my apartment door splintered. Voices, men's voices. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my sneakers slipping on wet iron. The alley below was dark, narrow, smelling of garbage and old rain. The Mercedes idled at the mouth of the alley, exactly where he'd said. I ran toward it. The back door opened before I reached it. I dove inside. The car was already moving before I'd even closed the door. Down. Dante said from the front passenger seat. Get down now. I dropped to the floor, wedging myself between the seats, my heart trying to break through my ribs. Behind us, shouting. A screech of tires. The driver, a woman with silver-streaked hair and cold eyes, took a corner so sharply I slammed into the door. Dante's hand shot back, steadied me without looking. Stay down, he repeated. I stayed down. We drove for what felt like hours but was probably 15 minutes. No one spoke. The only sounds were the engine, the rain, my own ragged breathing. Finally the car slowed. Stopped, clear, the driver said. Dante opened his door. Get out. I climbed out on shaking legs. We were in an underground garage, expensive, private. The kind of place that cost more per month than my entire salary. Dante stood waiting, the same black coat, the same unreadable expression. But up close, in the fluorescent light, I saw details I'd missed before. The faint shadows under his eyes, the tension in his jaw, the way his hand rested near his hip, where I now realized a gun probably sat. Inside, he said. We're, questions later, safety first. The driver led me to an elevator, used a keycard, pressed the button for the top floor. The doors closed, silence. Then, you went to the police. Not a question. Detective Lim called me. I said. She said the gallery. Detective Lim doesn't exist. The elevator hummed upward. My stomach dropped. The woman you spoke to this morning works for the Calabrese family. They wanted to know how much you knew. What you'd seen. His eyes met mine in the reflection of the polished doors. And you told them everything. I don't know anything. You know my name. You saw my face. You have security footage of their men breaking into the gallery. The elevator stopped. The doors opened onto a penthouse hallway. That's enough to get you killed 3 different ways. He walked out. I followed because I didn't know what else to do. The penthouse was massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Minimalist furniture. Art on the walls, real art, the kind museums fought over. Dante shrugged off his coat, draped it over a chair. Underneath he wore a black shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows. The gun at his hip was now visible. Casual. Expected. he said. I sat on the edge of a leather sofa. He poured 2 glasses of scotch from a crystal decanter, handed me one. I don't drink. You do tonight. I took the glass. Our fingers brushed. I felt it everywhere. He sat across from me, leaned back, studied me like I was one of the paintings in the gallery. My name is Dante Vittori, he said. And I own half of this city. I took a drink. The scotch burned. The Calabrese family wants me dead. They've wanted it for 6 years, since I took territory they believed belonged to them. He spoke calmly, like discussing weather. The Chen Gallery was a neutral meeting point, laundering money for both families. A fragile piece. Mrs. Chen, I'm smarter than you think, and currently negotiating for her life in Shanghai. He took a drink. 2 nights ago, someone leaked information about the gallery's operations to the FBI. Real FBI. The Calabrese family thinks I did it. They're wrong. Then who? I don't know yet. But they're using you to get to me. The room felt too warm, too small. I didn't do anything. You exist. You saw me. Your leverage. He set down his glass. Which means you have 2 choices. I put you on a plane to somewhere far away with a new name and enough money to start over. You disappear. 2. You stay. Help me find out who's actually behind this. And accept that your life as Elena Rivera is over either way. I stared at him. Why would I trust you? Because I could have let them take you 20 minutes ago. His voice dropped. Because I broke every rule I have by protecting you tonight. And because he stopped. Something flickered across his face, almost vulnerable, almost human. Because what? He stood, walked to the window, hands in his pockets. The city glittered behind him, distant and cold. Because when I walked into that gallery last night, I was supposed to kill you. The glass slipped from my fingers. Hit the floor, didn't break. He turned. The Calabrese family had already decided you were a witness, a liability. They hired me to make it look like an accident. His eyes found mine. But when I saw you standing there, looking at that painting like you understood what it meant to be angry and beautiful and dangerous all at once. He stopped again. I walked away. He finished quietly. I don't walk away. My hands were shaking again. Why? I don't know. The honesty in his voice was worse than the lie would have been. We stood there, the city between us, the weight of the confession settling into the space like smoke. Elena. My name in his mouth sounded different. Careful. If you run, they'll find you eventually. If you stay, I'll be in danger every second. Yes. And you? What do you get out of this? A long pause. Proof that I'm not what they made me. Something in my chest cracked open. I need to think. I whispered. You have until morning. He showed me to a guest room, all white linens and soft lighting and a lock on the door that I knew wouldn't keep him out if he wanted in. But as he turned to leave, I caught his wrist. He froze. The painting, I said. Judith and Holofernes. Why were you looking at it? His pulse beat against my fingers, strong, steady. Because she did what she had to do to survive. His voice was barely audible. And I've spent my entire life wondering if that makes her a hero or a monster. He pulled away gently, left me alone. I locked the door, sat on the bed, and realized that somewhere between the gallery and this moment, I'd stopped thinking of him as Dante Vittori, the man who was supposed to kill me, and started thinking of him as Dante, just Dante, the man who hadn't. I didn't sleep in the white room. I lay on top of the covers fully clothed, watching shadows move across the ceiling, listening to the city hum 20 floors below. Somewhere in the penthouse, Dante was awake too. I could feel it, the way you feel thunder before it breaks. At 5 a.m., I gave up. I found him in what I could only call a war room. One wall was covered in photographs, documents, maps connected by red string like something out of a crime thriller. The Calabrese family tree. The Vittori family tree. Businesses, politicians, judges, all webbed together in a network of power and blood. Dante stood in front of it, shirt sleeves still rolled up, a tablet in one hand. He didn't turn when I entered. Can't sleep in strange places, he asked. Can't sleep knowing someone wants me dead. Fair. I moved closer, studying the wall. One photograph caught my eye, a man in his 60s, silver hair, expensive suit. Vincenzo Calabrese written underneath. The head of their family. Dante said, following my gaze. He ordered the hit on you. Because of the gallery. Because you're a loose end. And Vincenzo doesn't like loose ends. He set down the tablet, turned to face me. In the early morning light, he looked tired, dangerous, almost unbearably real. The gallery was just the excuse. Then what's the real reason? He hesitated. Then walked to a laptop, typed something, turned the screen toward me. Security footage. The Chen Gallery. But not from the night the men broke in, from 3 weeks ago. I watched myself on screen, cataloging a new shipment, unpacking a painting, a small Renaissance piece, dark and beautiful, writing down the acquisition number. That painting, Dante said, was stolen from the Uffizi Gallery in Florence 2 years ago, worth $30 million. The Calabrese family arranged the theft. They were using the Chen Gallery to authenticate it before selling it to a private collector. I stared at the screen. Mrs. Chen knew. Mrs. Chen was the middleman, but she got nervous. Started talking about going to the authorities. He paused. Someone killed her 4 days ago in Shanghai. Made it look like a heart attack. The room went cold. The FBI investigation is real, he continued. But it's not about money laundering, it's about that painting. And now you're the only person besides Mrs. Chen who handled it, documented it, has proof it passed through the gallery. But I didn't know. Doesn't matter. You're a witness. And Vincenzo is cleaning house. I sank into a chair. So that woman, the fake detective, was trying to find out if you'd made copies of the documentation. If you'd sent anything to anyone. When you told her about me, his jaw tightened. You connected the two families publicly. Made it look like I'm protecting you because the Vittorias are involved in the theft. Are you? No. He said it simply. Flatly. My family might be criminals, but we don't deal in art theft. There are lines even we don't cross. Then why did you come to the gallery that night? He turned away, hands bracing against the desk. For a long moment he didn't speak. Because I'd been tracking the painting for 6 months. He finally said, the Uffizi Gallery belongs to the Italian government. When the painting was stolen, it became a political problem. A family in Florence allied with the Vittorias asked me to find it quietly. Retrieve it before it caused an international incident. So you knew it was at the gallery. I suspected. I came to confirm. He looked at me over his shoulder. And found you instead. The weight in those words made my chest tight. If you'd killed me. I said quietly, the Calabrese family would have trusted you. You could have gotten closer to finding the painting. Less. But you didn't. No. Why? He turned fully now, and for the first time since I'd met him, his expression was completely open. Raw. Because you looked at that Caravaggio reproduction like you understood violence, he said. Like you'd survived something that taught you beauty and brutality aren't opposites. And I thought. He stopped. Started again. I thought if I killed you, I'd be proving right everyone who ever said I was nothing but my last name. The air between us felt electric. I need coffee, I whispered. He almost smiled. Kitchen, I'll make it. We sat at the kitchen island as dawn broke over the city, drinking coffee that was too strong and too bitter, like everything else in his world. So, I said, what happens now? Now we find the painting before Vincenzo does. Prove the Vittorias aren't involved, and make sure you stay alive in the process. That's a lot of goals. I don't do anything small. I studied him over the rim of my mug. You keep saying, you have a choice, he reminded me. You can still leave. To where? You said they'd find me. But you'd have time. A chance. And you. I'd handle it. Be yourself. I've handled worse. I set down my coffee. What if I said I wanted to stay? Something flickered in his eyes. Then I'd say you're either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both. Probably both. He stood, collected our mugs, rinsed them in the sink. Domestic and surreal. If you stay, Elena, there are rules. I'm listening. You don't leave this building without me or someone I trust. You don't contact anyone from your old life. You don't make decisions without consulting me first. He turned, leaned against the counter. And you accept that the woman who walked into the Chen Gallery last Thursday is gone. She doesn't exist anymore. And who do I become? Someone who can survive in my world. Your world. I stood too, moved closer, close enough to see the faint scar along his jawline, the way his pupils dilated slightly when I invaded his space. And what is your world, Dante Vittori? Dangerous, he said quietly, violent. Beautiful in the way fire is beautiful, mesmerizing until it burns you. Maybe I want to burn. His breath caught. For half a second, I saw him waver, saw the man beneath the armor, the one who'd walked away from the gallery because something in me had called to something in him. Then his phone buzzed. His expression went cold. Get dressed, he said. We're leaving. What's wrong? The Calabrese family just put $1 million bounty on your head. He was already moving, grabbing his coat, his gun. And every criminal in New York just became a potential threat. 20 minutes later we were in the Mercedes again, the driver, whose name I learned was Sofia, navigating through morning traffic with the precision of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. Dante sat beside me in the back, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Italian. I caught fragments. Sicuro non posso. La porta est. When he hung up I asked, where are we going? Somewhere even Vincenzo can't touch you. Where's that? He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw something that might have been fear in his eyes. My family's estate. He said, where my father lives. The words hung between us like a threat. And I realized that whatever danger I'd faced so far was nothing compared to what waited at the end of this drive. The estate rose from the Hudson Valley like something out of a Gothic novel. Stone walls, iron gates, manicured gardens gone wild at the edges. The kind of place that had seen centuries of violence and called it legacy. Sofia drove through 3 security checkpoints before we reached the main house. Stay close to me, Dante said as the car stopped. Don't speak unless I tell you to. And whatever happens, whatever you see, don't show fear. You're terrifying me. Good, you should be terrified. The front door opened before we reached it. A man stood waiting, early 70s, silver hair swept back, wearing a 3-piece suit despite the early hour. Same dark eyes as Dante. Same dangerous mouth. This was the father, Dante. The voice was accented, cultured. You bring a girl home. How unexpected. Father. Dante's tone was flat. This is Elena Rivera. She's under my protection. The old man's gaze moved to me, assessed. Calculated. Rivera, he said. Spanish, my mother's family. I managed. He stepped aside. Come, we'll have breakfast. The dining room was enormous, a table that could seat 30 crystal chandeliers, portraits of dead Vidorus glaring down from the walls. We sat, Dante at his father's right, me beside Dante. A woman appeared with coffee, pastries, fruit. She didn't make eye contact, so, the father said, spreading jam on toast. Tell me why my son has abandoned his duties to protect a museum girl. Gallery, I corrected before I could stop myself. His eyebrow lifted. She has spirit, I like that. She's in danger because of the Calabrese family, Dante said. They're using her to get to us. To make it look like we're involved in the Uffizi theft. Are we? No. Pity. 30 million would be useful. The old man bit into his toast. But Vincenzo was always a sloppy businessman, too eager, too violent. He put a bounty on her. I heard. Quite generous actually. He looked at me again. You must be very inconvenient, Miss Rivera. I didn't ask to be. No one asked to be inconvenient, we simply are. He sipped his coffee. Dante, you cannot keep her here. It violates the agreements. The agreements are meaningless if Vincenzo is trying to start a war. He's not trying to start a war. He's trying to survive one. The father set down his cup. The FBI investigation is real. They have informants inside the Calabrese organization. Vincenzo is panicking, making mistakes, cleaning house, and Elena is part of that cleaning. Perhaps. He stood, walked to the window overlooking the gardens. Or perhaps she's more valuable than you realize. Dante went very still. What do you mean? The painting. The old man didn't turn. The Uffizi piece, it's not just worth money. It's leverage. The Italian government wants it back quietly. They've offered amnesty, full pardons, protection to whoever returns it. You think Vincenzo would trade it? I think Vincenzo is a drowning man grabbing for anything that floats. Now he turned. And if Miss Rivera can prove the painting passed through the Chen Gallery, can testify to its provenance, she becomes the key to either his salvation or his destruction. My throat went dry. I don't understand. You're not just a witness, dear girl. You're evidence. Living, breathing evidence that could send Vincenzo to prison for the rest of his life. He smiled, it didn't reach his eyes, or set him free. Danny's hand found mine under the table, squeezed once, a warning, a promise. She stays here. Under protection. Until we figure this out. No, the old man's voice went cold. She stays here as our guest, under observation. Until we decide what to do with her. Father? This is not negotiable, Dante. He moved back to the table, loomed over us both. You brought her into our world. Into our home, you made her our responsibility. And I will not have you jeopardizing this family for a woman you met 3 days ago. Danny stood, fury written in every line of his body. She's not a bargaining chip. Everything is a bargaining chip. You taught me that. I taught you. Dante's laugh was bitter. You wrote the lesson plan, father. The air between them crackled with old violence. I stood too. I'll leave. Both men looked at me. I'll leave. I repeated. I'll go to the FBI myself. Tell them everything. Give them the documentation. Let them handle it. They'll kill you before you reach the city, the father said, maybe. But at least I'll die making my own choices instead of being a piece on your chessboard. Silence. Then the old man laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, Dante. He said, still chuckling. You found yourself a fighter. How refreshing. He looked at me with something that might have been respect. Very well, Miss Rivera. You may stay as my son's guest. Not as a prisoner. But, his expression hardened. If you betray us, if you endanger this family, I will kill you myself. Slowly, painfully. In ways that make you beg for the Calabrese family's mercy. Understood. I said, voice steady despite the terror coursing through me. Excellent. He clapped his hands. Maria will show you to your room, Dante, my office. Now? The room Maria led me to was beautiful. High ceilings, antique furniture, French doors opening onto a balcony overlooking the gardens. It was also a cage. I tested the doors. Unlocked. But when I stepped onto the balcony, I saw the guards below. 4 of them. Armed. I was a guest. I was also a prisoner. I sat on the bed, head in my hands, trying to understand how my life had become this in less than 72 hours. A knock. Come in. I called. Dante entered, closed the door behind him. His expression was carefully blank. Your father. Is exactly what you think he is. He moved to the window, looked out. I'm sorry. I thought bringing you here would be safer. I was wrong. What did he say? In his office. That I'm being reckless. Sentimental. Weak. Dante's jaw tightened. That if I don't handle this situation properly, he'll handle it for me. Meaning he'll use you as leverage with Vincenzo. Trade you for peace. Or silence you permanently to avoid complications. I stood, walked to him. Then we need to find that painting fast. You said I had a choice, stay or run. I met his eyes. I'm choosing to stay and fight. Something in his expression cracked open. Elena, don't. I stepped closer. Don't tell me it's too dangerous. Don't tell me I don't understand. I understand perfectly. Your father is a monster. Vincenzo is a monster. And you. I touched his chest, felt his heart racing beneath my palm. You're trying very hard not to be one. His hand covered mine. Held it there. If I was smart, he said quietly, I'd put you on a plane tonight. Send you somewhere they'd never find you. But I'm not smart. I'm selfish. And I don't want you to go. The confession hung between us, raw and honest. Then teach me. I whispered. Teach me how to survive in your world. His other hand came up, cupped my face. His thumb traced my cheekbone. It will change you, he said. This life. It will take the girl who loved art galleries and turn her into something harder. Something colder. Maybe I need to be harder. Colder, no. His voice was fierce. You need to stay exactly who you are. Because that's the only thing keeping me human. And then he kissed me, soft at first. Testing. Then deeper, more desperate, like he was trying to memorize the taste of something he knew he couldn't keep. I kissed him back, my hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. When we broke apart, we were both breathing hard. This is a terrible idea, he murmured against my forehead. I know. You're gonna get hurt. I know. I might be the one who hurts you. I pulled back, looked at him. Then don't. He laughed, bitter and broken. If only it were that simple. A phone buzzed. He checked it. His expression went cold. What? Sophia just sent a message. Someone leaked our location to the Calabrese family. He was already moving toward the door. We have maybe an hour before they send people. Your father. Probably leaked it himself. He grabbed my hand. Come on. We're leaving. We're somewhere my father can't reach us. He paused at the door, looked back at me. Somewhere even I'm not supposed to go. And I realized that Dante Vittori was about to show me the part of his world he'd kept hidden even from himself. We left through the kitchen. Sophia was waiting with a different car, an old Honda, anonymous and forgettable. Dante threw a bag in the trunk, pulled me into the back seat. Where? Sophia asked. The Brooklyn house. She went pale. Dante, you can't drive. She drove. We took back roads out of the estate, avoiding the main gate. Behind us, I saw headlights converging on the mansion. 3 cars, maybe 4. They're moving fast. Sophia said. They're desperate. Dante replied. Which makes them sloppy. We drove for 90 minutes, mostly in silence. Dante kept his hand on mine, thumb tracing absent circles on my wrist. A small gesture. Impossibly intimate. Brooklyn appeared through the windshield, industrial, gritty. Real in a way the estate had never been. Sophia pulled up to a warehouse in Red Hook. Rust-stained metal, broken windows, graffiti crawling up the walls. Here, I asked. Here. Dante got out, grabbed the bag. Sophia, ditch the car. Take the next 2 days off. Don't contact me unless it's an emergency. Dante, that's an order. She looked like she wanted to argue. Didn't. Drove away into the Brooklyn dawn. Dante led me inside through a side door. Used 3 different keys. The interior was dark, cold, smelling of oil and old concrete. Then he hit a switch. Lights flooded a space that wasn't a warehouse at all. It was an apartment. Industrial chic. Exposed brick, high ceilings. Furniture that looked expensive but lived in. Art on the walls, real pieces, not reproductions. A kitchen that had actually been used. Books scattered on surfaces. This is yours, I said. Mine. He set down the bag. The only place in the city that's just mine. No family. No business. No blood. I walked slowly through the space, taking it in. A record player with vintage jazz albums. A telescope pointed at the skylight. Sketches pinned to a corkboard. Architectural drawings, detailed and precise. You draw? I said I used to. He came up behind me, close but not touching. Before I became what my father needed me to be, I turned. And what was that? A weapon. He said it simply. Every family needs someone willing to do the things others won't. Make the hard calls. Pull the trigger. I was good at it. Too good. But you stopped. I learned to delegate. His smile was bitter. Turns out you can build an empire without getting blood on your hands directly. You just have to not ask questions about whose hands do get bloody. I reached up, touched his face. He closed his eyes, leaned into it. Why did you bring me here? I asked quietly. Because it's the only place I know how to be myself. And I thought. He opened his eyes. I thought if you're going to survive this, you need to know who I really am. Not the son. Not the boss, just me. And who are you, Dante Vittori? I don't know anymore. His honesty was devastating. But I know I'm someone who wants you alive more than I want anything else. Even if it destroys me. The kiss this time wasn't gentle. It was hunger and fear and desperation wrapped together. His hands in my hair, my back against the brick wall, our bodies pressed together like we could merge into something neither of us were alone. When we broke apart, we were both shaking. Wished. He started. Don't, I said. Don't think, don't plan. Just stay here with me. For 5 minutes, just be human. So we did. We sat on his couch in the quiet Brooklyn warehouse, my head on his shoulder, his arm around me, and pretended the world outside didn't exist. His phone shattered the moment. He checked it. Frowned. What? Message from someone I trust in the Calabrese organization. They found the painting. I sat up. That's the problem. It's back at the Chen Gallery. That's impossible. The FBI raided it yesterday. Found nothing. Because someone moved it before they arrived. He was already standing pacing. But my source says it's there now. Hidden. Waiting. It's a trap. Obviously. He stopped, looked at me. Which is why you're staying here. Like hell I am. Elena. That gallery is my workplace. I know every inch of it. The storage rooms, the false walls, the places misses. Chen thought no one knew about. I stood too. You need me. I need you safe. You need me alive. And I'll stay alive by being useful. I crossed my arms. Besides, if it's a trap, they're expecting you to come alone. 2 people change the dynamic. He studied me for a long moment. You realize what you're saying. If we walk into that gallery, there's a very real chance we don't walk out. I realize. And you're willing to risk it? I'm willing to stop being hunted like an animal. I'm willing to fight back. I moved closer. And I'm willing to trust that the man who walked away from killing me will keep me alive tonight. His jaw tightened. You shouldn't trust me that much. Too late. He closed his eyes. You're gonna get yourself killed, then die with me. The words hung between us, too honest, too raw, too true. When he opened his eyes, something had shifted. Hardened. Fine, he said. But we do this my way. You follow my lead. If I tell you to run, you run. If I tell you to hide, you hide. No arguments. No heroics. Agreed. And Alina. He pulled a gun from the bag, checked the magazine, held it out to me. If something happens to me, you shoot first and don't look back. Understand? I took the gun. It was heavier than I expected, colder. I understand. We arrived at the Chen Gallery at 2 a.m. The street was empty. Too empty. The kind of quiet that meant someone was watching. Dante had changed clothes, all black tactical gear that made him look like what he was. Dangerous. Lethal. Beautiful in the way sharp things are beautiful. He'd given me similar clothes. They fit too well. Like he'd known my size. Back entrance. He said quietly. Stay close, stay quiet. Stay alive. I nodded. We moved through the alley, shadows among shadows. Downey picked the lock with practiced ease. The door swung open silently. Inside, the gallery was dark. My gallery. My paintings. But transformed by darkness into something foreign. Dante pulled a small flashlight from his pocket. The beam cut through black. We moved through the main room. Nothing. The storage room. Nothing. Then Dante stopped. There, he whispered. I followed his gaze. The floor near the back wall. A faint seam I'd never noticed before. A trapdoor. He knelt, examined it. Wired, but not armed. Someone wanted us to find this. The painting's down there. Or a bullet. One way to find the door. Stairs descended into darkness. Last chance, he said. You can still leave. I'm not leaving. I know. He touched my face. Quick, gentle, stay behind me. If shooting starts, you drop and don't move until I tell you. Then he started down the stairs. I followed, and with each step, I felt the girl who'd worked in this gallery slipping away, replaced by someone harder. Someone who could survive in Dante Vittori's world. Someone who might not make it out alive. The basement smelled like old concrete and expensive cologne. Dante's flashlight swept the space, empty except for a single table in the center. And on that table, wrapped in protective cloth, a small Renaissance painting, the Uffizi too easy. Dante murmured, way too easy. I agreed. Then the lights came on. We both spun, guns raised. Vincenzo Calabrese stood at the top of the stairs, flanked by 4 armed men. He looked exactly like his photographs, silver hair, expensive suit, the kind of face that had ordered deaths without losing sleep. Dante Vittori, he said, descending slowly. How predictable. Vincenzo. Dante's gun never wavered. This is a waste of both our time. Is it? Vincenzo reached the bottom step. His men spread out, covering exits. I offer you a chance to end this peacefully. Return the girl. Admit your family stole the painting. And we both walk away. I didn't steal anything. You're far too smart for that. Vincenzo smiled. But your father isn't. The words landed like a blow. You're lying, Dante said. Am I? Vincenzo gestured to one of his men, who produced a tablet. He turned it toward us. Security footage. The Vittori estate. Dante's father meeting with 3 men I didn't recognize. Money changing hands. And then the painting. The same one sitting on the table between us. The timestamp 6 months ago. Your father arranged the theft, Vincenzo said calmly. Used the Chen Gallery as a storage point. Planned to sell it and blame my family for the crime. When Mrs. Chen got nervous, he had her killed. And when Miss Rivera became inconvenient, he looked at me. Well, you know the rest. I felt Dante's entire body go rigid beside me. This is fabricated, he said. Is it? Or have you simply been too blind to see what your father really is? Vincenzo stepped closer. You played us both, Dante, set us against each other while he profited from the chaos. And you expect me to believe you're the victim here. I expect you to believe evidence. Vincenzo's voice hardened. Your father is cleaning house, eliminating anyone who knows the truth, including you. Bullshit. Then explain why he leaked your location to me this morning. Why he put the painting here knowing you'd come. Why? He gestured around the basement. He's arranged this entire meeting. Dante's gun lowered slightly. What? A door I hadn't noticed before opened at the far end of the basement. Dante's father walked through. Alone, unarmed, smiling. Hello, son, he said. The world tilted. Dante's gun swung toward his father. What the hell is this? This, the old man said, is a negotiation. Vincenzo and I have been discussing terms. We've reached an agreement. You're working with him. I'm working with reality. The FBI is closing in. The painting needs to disappear. And you, he looked at me. You're the only witness who can place it at the gallery. My blood went cold. So this is what? Dante's voice shook with rage. You're handing her over. After everything, I'm saving the family. Like I always have. Like you've apparently forgotten how to do. His father moved closer, unafraid of the gun pointed at him. You've become weak, Dante. Sentimental. Distracted by a woman you barely know. She's under my protection. Your protection is meaningless. I own you, I made you. And I can unmake you just as easily. Try it. The old man smiled. I already have. He snapped his fingers. Dante's gun jammed. I raised mine. It jammed too. You really think I'd let you come here armed with weapons I didn't control? His father shook his head. Every gun you own, every resource you have, they're mine. On loan. And now I'm calling the loan due. Vincenzo's men moved forward, surrounded us. Dante shifted, putting himself between me and them. Don't touch her, then give her to us voluntarily, his father said. Make this easy. Go to hell. I've already been. It's where I learned to do what's necessary to survive. The old man's expression was almost pitying. You could have been great, Dante. Ruthless. Powerful. Instead, you let yourself care. And caring makes you vulnerable. Caring makes me human. Being human gets you killed. They stared at each other, father and son, mirror images separated by morality. Then I spoke. I'll testify. Everyone turned to me. I'll testify. I repeated. Give me immunity, witness protection, and I'll tell the FBI everything. The theft, the gallery. Mrs. Chen, all of it. Vincenzo's eyes narrowed. You'd betray the Vittorus. I'd betray everyone to stay alive. I looked at Dante's father. You said I'm evidence. Fine. Let me be evidence that destroys you both. The old man laughed. Bold. But stupid. You think witness protection can hide you from us? No. But I think the publicity can. I stepped forward out of Dante's protective stance. You kill me now, and every news outlet in the country covers it. The FBI investigation becomes front-page news. Politicians get involved. Suddenly your quiet little war becomes very loud, very public. Silence. Vincenzo spoke first. She's right. This is getting messied. Then we clean it up, Dante's father said. Permanently. Or, I pulled out my phone, held it up. I already sent copies of the gallery documentation to 3 different journalists. Timed emails. If I don't cancel them in the next hour, they publish everything. It was a bluff. A complete bluff. But they didn't know that. Danny's father stared at me. You're lying, maybe. But are you willing to risk it? The basement went silent. Then Danny started laughing low. Genuine, almost proud. What's funny? His father demanded. She is. Danny looked at me with something that might have been awe. You walked into my world 3 days ago, and you're already better at this than I am. Is that a compliment? It's a fact. His father's expression darkened. This changes nothing. The lights went out. Gunfire erupted. Danny grabbed me, pulled me down behind the table. The painting crashed to the floor. Stay down, he shouted over the chaos. I stayed down. More gunfire. Shouting in Italian, the sound of bodies hitting concrete. Then silence. Emergency lights kicked on. Red and dim, I lifted my head. Vincenzo's men were down. All of them. Vincenzo himself had a bullet through his shoulder, crawling toward the stairs. And standing in the doorway, gun still smoking, was Sofia. Behind her, a dozen men in FBI jackets. Dante Vittori, said a woman I recognized, the real Detective Lim. You're under arrest. They cuffed him. They cuffed his father. They cuffed me too, but gently, almost apologetically. As they led us upstairs, Dante caught my eyes. Mouthed something, trust me. I didn't understand. Not until we were outside being loaded into separate vehicles, and I saw Sofia slip something into my pocket. A note, a key and an address. The note read tomorrow. Midnight. Come alone. I looked back at Dante. He was already in the FBI car, head down, hands cuffed. But just before the door closed, he looked up, met my eyes, and smiled. Like this was all part of some plan I didn't understand yet. Like the real game was just beginning. They held me for 16 hours. A windowless room, a metal table, horrible coffee that tasted like burnt plastic. Detective Lim and her partner, a man named Torres, young and aggressive, taking turns asking questions I couldn't answer. Tell us about Dante Vittori. Tell us about the painting. Tell us what you saw at the gallery. Tell us everything. I told them the truth. Most of it. The parts that wouldn't get me killed later. I left out the Brooklyn warehouse. The kiss. The way Dante had looked at me like I was something worth protecting. Miss Rivera. Lim said during hour 12. You understand you're not under arrest. You're a witness. We're trying to protect you. Be keeping me in a room for half a day. Be keeping you alive. She leaned forward. Vincenzo Calabrese has already made bail. Dante's father too. They have resources, lawyers, connections. The only reason you're safe right now is because you're in this building. Then charge me with something or let me go. We can't charge you. You didn't do anything wrong. Then I'm leaving. I stood. They didn't stop me. Torres handed me a card. Call us. When they come for you and they will come for you, call us. I took the card. Didn't promise anything. Outside, the city was dark. Late evening, maybe early morning. I'd lost track. My apartment was a crime scene. The gallery was sealed. I had nowhere to go, except the address on Sophia's note. I found a bodega, bought a burner phone, called a cab. Gave the driver the address somewhere in Queens Industrial District. The kind of neighborhood where people didn't ask questions. The building was nondescript. Gray concrete. No signs. The key opened a side door. Inside, an empty warehouse floor. Single light hanging from the ceiling, and beneath it Dante. Sitting on a crate, unchained, unguarded, waiting. You came, he said. You knew I would. I hoped. He stood. How was the FBI? Thorough, persistent, annoying? I moved closer. How are you not in jail? Bail, expensive lawyers. The fact that they don't actually have evidence I did anything. He smiled slightly. And a deal I made with Detective Lim 6 months ago. My stomach dropped. What kind of deal? The kind where I helped them build a case against my father in exchange for immunity. He said it calmly. Like discussing weather. I've been their informant since the painting was stolen. feeding them information, setting up tonight's arrest. I struggled to process it. You set up your own father. I set up a criminal who happens to share my DNA. His voice hardened. He killed Mrs. Chen, put a bounty on your head, tried to start a war to cover his crimes. Yes, I set him up, and I'd do it again. Does he know? Not yet, but he will. Danny moved closer. The FBI has recordings, financial records, testimony from people in his organization who I convinced to flip. By tomorrow morning, he'll be facing federal charges that'll put him away for life. And Vincenzo, same, they're both done. He stopped in front of me. Which means the bounty on your head is void. The threat is over. You can go back to your life. The words should have been relief, instead they felt like loss. Just like that. I asked quietly. Just like that. I studied his face. You planned all of this. From the beginning. Not all of it. I didn't plan on caring about you. His honesty was devastating. I didn't plan on wanting to keep you safe more than I wanted revenge on my father. I didn't plan on, he stopped. On what? On falling for someone I knew I couldn't keep. My breath caught. You're free, Elena, he continued. Free from the Calabrese family, my father, all of it. The FBI will help you relocate if you want. New city, new identity. Or you can stay in New York, go back to the gallery when it reopens. Live your life. And you. I disappear. The deal with the FBI includes witness protection after the trial. I become someone else somewhere else. He smiled bitterly. Turns out betraying your family comes with consequences. You're running. I'm surviving. There's a difference. We stood there in the empty warehouse, the single bulb swinging slightly overhead, casting shadows that made us look like ghosts. What if I don't want you to disappear? I whispered. His expression cracked. Don't what? Don't make this harder than it already is. He reached out, touched my face. You deserve a normal life. Art galleries and safe apartments and men who don't come with body counts. Maybe I don't want normal. You should. But I don't. I covered his hand with mine. 3 days ago I was nobody, working a job I tolerated, living a life that felt half alive. Then you walked into that gallery and everything changed. I destroyed your life. You woke me up. I stepped closer. You showed me what it feels like to be terrified and alive and real. And yes, it's been brutal and violent and nothing I ever expected. But I'd rather have 3 days of this of you than a lifetime of safe. Elena, I'm coming with you. The words hung between us. You don't mean that, he said. I do. You don't know what you're saying. Witness protection means giving up everything. Your name, your family, your entire identity. I know. You'll never see anyone from your old life again. Never contact them. Never. I know. Dante. I grabbed his shirt, pulled him close. I know exactly what I'm saying, and I'm saying it anyway. He stared at me like I was insane. Maybe I was. He asked roughly. Because you looked at a painting of violence and saw beauty. Because you walked away from killing me when every logical part of you said to pull the trigger. Because you're trying to be better than what your father made you. I held his gaze. And because when I'm with you, I feel like the person I was always supposed to be. You're gonna regret this. Probably. You're gonna hurt you. You already have. I survived. I'm not. His voice broke. I'm not good, Elena. I've done things, terrible things, and I'll probably do more terrible things before I figure out how to be someone different. Then be terrible with me. He made a sound, half laugh, half sob, and pulled me against him. Kissed me like I was oxygen, and he'd been drowning. When we broke apart, we were both shaking. This is insane. He murmured against my forehead. We'll probably die. I know. You're sure? I pulled back, looked at him. Ask me tomorrow, after I've had time to think, after I've slept in a real bed and eaten real food and had a moment to process that my entire life just exploded. And if tomorrow you change your mind, then I change my mind. But tonight, I touched his face. Tonight, I choose you. He closed his eyes. You're going to destroy me. Maybe we'll destroy each other. Maybe. He took me to another safe house. Somewhere in Brooklyn, small apartment, anonymous. We didn't talk. We showered separately. Ate takeout in silence. And when we finally lay down in the single bed, fully clothed, just existing in the same space, I felt something settle in my chest. Fear, yes, but also hope. Elena. Danny's voice in the darkness. Yeah, thank you. For what? For seeing something in me worth saving. I turned toward him, found his hand in the dark. Thank you for seeing the same in me. We fell asleep like that, two broken people who'd found each other in the wreckage. And tomorrow, we'd decide if we wanted to build something new from the pieces, or let the whole thing burn. The trial lasted 3 weeks. I testified on day 4. The courtroom was cold, institutional, packed with journalists and law enforcement and members of both families who stared at me like I was a traitor. Maybe I was. I told them everything. The gallery, the painting, Mrs. Chen, the fake detective, the men who'd broken in, the basement meeting. I didn't mention the Brooklyn warehouse. That was mine and Dante's. Sacred. Dante's father sat at the defense table, expressionless. When our eyes met, he smiled. Small, knowing, like he was saying, you think you've won. You haven't. Vincenzo sat at a separate table, lawyers surrounding him like sharks. Dante was in witness protection. I hadn't seen him in 12 days. The prosecutor asked me to identify the Uffizi painting. They'd brought it as evidence. Recovered from the gallery basement, authenticated, worth $30 million of political nightmare. Is this the painting that came through the Chen gallery? Les. And did you document its arrival? Wes. Can you identify the person who arranged for its storage? I looked at Dante's father. He did. Murmurs in the courtroom. The judge called for order. Cross-examination was brutal. Defense attorneys tried to paint me as unreliable, emotionally compromised, possibly complicit. Isn't it true, Miss Rivera, that you had a romantic relationship with Dante Vittori? We kissed. Once, Lee, twice, maybe 3 times. Who was counting? And isn't it true that you would say anything to protect him? No. You expect this court to believe you have no bias. I have every bias in the world. I looked directly at the jury. I'm biased toward staying alive. I'm biased toward the truth. And I'm biased toward making sure that the men who put $1 million bounty on my head face consequences. The defense attorney looked like he wanted to object but couldn't find grounds. The prosecutor smiled. They found both men guilty. Dante's father conspiracy, theft, money laundering, murder. Vincenzo conspiracy, attempted murder, racketeering. Sentencing 25 to life for Dante's father. 30 for Vincenzo. Appeals would take years. But they were done. Outside the courthouse, Detective Lim found me. Good job in there, she said. Thanks. You know they'll come after you. The families. Once things settle. I know. Witness protection is still on the table. New identity. New city. We can make you disappear. I looked at the courthouse behind us. What about Dante? She hesitated. He's already gone. Left the country 3 days ago. New name, new life. My stomach dropped. He didn't say goodbye. It's safer this way. Clean break. Lim handed me a card. But if you want to find him, call this number. Ask for Agent Morrison. He's handling Dante's relocation. He can facilitate contact. Unofficially. I took the card. Why are you helping me? Because I've been doing this job for 15 years. And I've learned that sometimes, the only thing that keeps people like Dante from becoming monsters is having someone who believes they can be better. She met my eyes. He told me you're that someone. I called the number from a burner phone. Agent Morrison was brusque, efficient, clearly annoyed. Miss Rivera. I was told to expect your call. Where is he? I can't tell you that. Then why did Detective Lim give me your number? A pause. I can't tell you where he is. But I can tell you that if you happen to be in Lisbon, Portugal, next Thursday evening at 7 p.m., and you happen to visit a cafe called a Brasileira, you might see someone familiar. My heart stopped. That's very specific. That's all I can say. This conversation didn't happen. He hung up. I bought a plane ticket, used the last of my savings, packed a single bag, left my apartment key with my neighbor. New York disappeared below me, the city where I'd been born, raised, nearly killed. The city where I'd met a man who'd changed everything. Lisbon was warm, golden, smelling of salt and sardines and coffee. I found the cafe easily. A Brasileira. Famous, historic, filled with tourists and students and locals who looked they'd been coming here for decades. I sat at a table near the window, ordered coffee I didn't drink, waited. 7 p.m. Came and went. 7:15, 7:30. Maybe Morrison had lied. Maybe this was some FBI test. Maybe. You came. I turned. Danny stood behind me wearing jeans and a simple shirt, hair slightly longer, a few days of stubble, looking nothing like the Mafia boss who'd walked into my gallery. Looking like just a man. You left, I said. I had to? Without saying goodbye. Because if I'd seen you again, I wouldn't have been able to leave. He sat across from me. And you deserved better than being tied to me. I thought we decided I get to choose what I deserve. Did we? I did. He studied my face like he was memorizing it. You testified. Yes, they're both going to prison. Yes. Because of us. Because of them. We just held up the mirror. He almost smiled. Very poetic. I've had 3 weeks to practice. Silence settled between us. Not uncomfortable. Heavy with everything unsaid. Morrison told me you were asking about me. Dante said quietly. I told him not to tell you where I was. And yet, he reached across the table, took my hand. I'm not who I was, Elena. I'm nobody here, no name, no family, no power. Just a man trying to figure out who he is when no one's watching. And, have you figured it out? I'm getting there. His thumb traced circles on my palm. But I think I'm someone who wants to be better. Who wants to build something that doesn't involve blood or fear. Who wants, he stopped. Who wants what? You. The word was barely audible. I want you. In whatever form you'll give me, friend. Stranger, enemy. I don't care. I just want you in my life. My throat tightened. Ike left my apartment. Bought a one-way ticket to Portugal. His eyes widened. Alana, I don't know if this is smart or stupid or completely insane. But I know that when I'm with you, I feel alive. And I'd rather be alive and terrified with you than safe and half dead without you. You're sure? Ask me in a year. If I'm still here, you'll know. He laughed. Actually laughed. That's not how commitment works. Since when do we do anything the normal way? Fair point. We sat there holding hands across the table in a Portuguese cafe, 2 people who'd survived hell and chosen each other anyway. I have an apartment, he said. Small. Nothing fancy. But it has a view of the river. Show me. He paid for the coffee I hadn't touched. We walked through Lisbon's streets as the sun set, turning everything gold and orange and impossibly beautiful. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. Elena. Dante asked as we climbed the stairs to his building. Yeah, I'm gonna screw this up. Probably multiple times. I know. And you're still staying. I turned, kissed him. Gentle. Sure, I'm still staying. He opened the door to his apartment. Our apartment, I corrected myself. And we stepped inside, together. The bookstore wasn't much. A small space near the university district. Shelves crammed with Portuguese literature and English classics. A single table by the window where I worked most days. I'd bought it 3 months ago with money from the FBI's Victim Compensation Fund and a small inheritance from an aunt I'd barely known. Dante had helped renovate it. Painting walls, fixing shelves, arguing with me about organization systems until we both laughed too hard to keep fighting. He worked nights as a bartender. Nothing glamorous. But he was good at it, listening to drunk students, making cocktails that made people smile, being invisible in the way he'd never been able to be in New York. We were nobody here. It was perfect. I was shelving poetry when the door chimed. A woman walked in, mid-40s, expensive coat despite the Lisbon heat, wearing sunglasses she didn't take off. Something in my chest tightened. Can I help you? I asked in Portuguese. She responded in English. I'm looking for something specific. American accent. New York American. What kind of book? The kind that tells a story about loyalty. She moved closer, browsing a shelf without really looking. About what happens when someone betrays their family. My hand moved slowly toward the counter. Beneath it, I'd installed a panic button. Danny's idea. We have several books about family, I said carefully. Fiction or nonfiction. Truth, actually. She turned. Took off the sunglasses. I recognized her. Sofia Vittori, Dante's sister. The one he'd told me about during our long Lisbon nights. Brilliant, ruthless. The one who'd survived their father's household by being smarter than everyone else. I'm not here to hurt you, she said. Then why are you here? To deliver a message. She pulled an envelope from her bag, set it on the counter. From my brother. The one who's actually still my brother, not the one rotting in prison. I didn't touch the envelope. Dant doesn't have siblings. He told me. He told you what he needed to tell you to keep you safe. But I'm not a fairy tale, Miss Rivera, I'm real. And I'm here because Marco, my other brother, sent me. I don't understand. Marco runs the Vittori family now. Has been since our father's arrest. And he wants Danta to come home. My blood went cold. That's not happening. I agree. Dant is better off dead to us. She pushed the envelope closer. But Marco doesn't see it that way. He thinks Dante betrayed the family out of weakness. Sentiment, love. The word dripped with contempt. And he's decided that if he can't have Dani back, he'll make sure Dante suffers. Is that a threat? It's a warning. Sophia's voice softened slightly. Read the letter. Give Dante the choice. And then, if you're smart, run. She left as quickly as she'd arrived. I stood frozen for 30 seconds before grabbing the envelope. Inside, a letter in Marco's handwriting. I'd seen samples from FBI evidence. Brother, I know where you are. Lisbon, the bookstore, the girl. Very quaint. Father sends his regards from prison. He told me to tell you that blood is thicker than testimony, and that traitors pay debts in blood. You have 30 days to return to New York. Alone. Take your place in the family again. Help me rebuild what you destroyed, or I'll send people for her. Not to kill. Killing would be mercy. I'll make sure she survives. Make sure she remembers every moment. Make sure when you see her again, and you will see her, I'll make certain of it, she looks at you with nothing but hate. 30 days. Your brother, Marco. The letter fell from my hands. I called Dante. He answered on the first ring. Come home. Now. I heard him moving, running, on my way. He burst through the door 8 minutes later, out of breath, panicked. I handed him the letter, watched his face as he read it, watched the color drain, watched something dark and familiar slide back into his expression, the killer his father had trained him to be. No, I said before he could speak. Elena, no. You're not going back. You're not walking into whatever trap this is. He'll come for you. Let him try. You don't understand. Marco he's worse than my father ever was. Smarter, more creative with pain. Dante's hands shook. He'll keep his promise. He'll make you suffer in ways that, then we run. Again. Somewhere farther. Somewhere he can't find us, Dao. There is nowhere he can't find us. Dante set down the letter. Not as long as we're together. The words hung between us. Don't. I whispered. Don't what? Don't even think about leaving me to keep me safe. We're past that? Are we? He cupped my face. Because all I can think about is what he described, what he'd do to you, and I can't. His voice broke. I can't survive knowing I'm the reason you're in pain. Then don't give him the chance. I grabbed his wrists. We fight together. We contact the FBI, get protection. The FBI can't protect you from my family. You know that. Then you go back? Become what you were. If it keeps you safe.
Aikido me safe.
I was shouting now. Don't you understand? You going back doesn't protect me. It just makes me lose you while staying in danger. Because Marco will come for me anyway. To control you, to hurt you. Your family doesn't let go, Dante. You taught me that. He stared at me. Then what do? We do what we've always done. I pulled the letter from the counter, walked to the small fireplace in the back of the store and burned it. We survived together. That night, we didn't sleep. We sat on the tiny balcony of our apartment, watching Lisbon shimmer in the darkness, making plans. Contact the FBI, get protective surveillance, move to a different city, change names again. But beneath the plans we both knew the truth. This was never going to end, not with Marco alive, not with the family still operating, not with the Vittori name still carrying weight. I could kill him, Dante said quietly. Don't. Why not? He's threatening you, planning to torture you. One bullet. Problem solved? And then what? You become exactly what you've been trying not to be. I took his hand. You kill Marco, and someone else takes his place, and someone after that, and after that. It's an infinite loop, Dante. The only way out is to let go. I don't know how to let go, then learn. We sat in silence. Then Dante said, there's one other option. What? We'll make a deal. With the FBI. Give them everything I know about the Vittori operations, every secret, every connection, every piece of blackmail my father ever collected. His voice hardened. Burn it all down, make the family so toxic, so exposed, that Marco has to spend the rest of his life just trying to survive instead of hunting us. That's dangerous, I know. But it's the only way to end this without becoming a killer again. I studied his face. You'd really destroy your family, completely. They were never my family. Not really. He squeezed my hand. You are. We contacted Agent Morrison the next morning. Made the deal. Downey spent 3 weeks giving depositions, drawing maps, providing evidence that would dismantle the Vittori empire piece by piece. The FBI arrested 17 people in coordinated raids across 3 states. Marco went to ground. Disappeared. But not before sending one final message. A photograph. Delivered to the bookstore. Dante and me, walking through Lisbon. Happy. Unguarded. On the back, 3 words: I'm still watching. We're still here. 6 months after the letter. 3 months after the raids. We changed names again. Moved the bookstore to a different neighborhood. Installed better security. And we live. Not perfectly. Not safely. But together. Some nights Dante wakes up gasping, dreaming of his brother's threats. Some nights I wake up remembering the gun in my hand, the men in the basement, the moment I chose to step into his world. But most nights, we sleep tangled together in our small apartment, listening to Lisbon breathe around us. And when morning comes, I open the bookstore. He makes coffee. We exist in the space between what we were and what we're becoming. Do you regret it? Danny asked me last week. Everything. Which part? All of meeting me, choosing this life, losing everything you were. I thought about it, really thought. No, I finally said. I don't regret becoming someone who could survive loving you. He kissed me, soft, grateful. I don't regret becoming someone worth loving, he whispered back. Marco's still out there. We know it, the FBI knows it. Someday, maybe, he'll come for us. But until that day we have this. Morning coffee and Portuguese sunlight. Books and late-night conversations and the sound of the river. Each other. And maybe that's not a happy ending. Maybe it's just a chapter between catastrophes. But it's ours, and we're writing it together, one dangerous, beautiful, terrifying day at a time.